All right, so we are going to talk about synthetic and long division. So you might have learned how to do long division like in elementary school. If you don't remember, go look at the do now for today. But first thing we're going to do is we are going to review dividing by a monomial. So monomial means one term. So we have 6x to the fourth minus 15x cubed plus 3x squared divided by 3x squared. Whenever you're dividing by a monomial, you can essentially divide each term here by that monomial. Okay, and then you just do your division. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. X to the fourth divided by x squared is x squared. Minus 15 divided by 3 is 5. X cubed divided by x squared is just x. Plus 3 divided by 3 is 1. X squared divided by x squared is also 1. So this is your final answer. And so again, whenever you're dividing by a monomial, just divide each term. Now let's look at something new, dividing by a binomial. If possible, factoring and then canceling is the easiest way to go. So let's look at w squared minus 7w plus 10. If we factor the numerator there, two numbers that will multiply to 10 but add to negative 7 is going to be negative 5 and negative 2. So my factored form is w minus 5 and w minus 2 all over w minus 5. What is the same in both the numerator and denominator? It's the w minus 5. And since multiplication is happening right in between those two terms, we can cancel them. And the only thing that's left is w minus 2. We can do another example, 4h squared minus 7h minus 2. This one we would need to use Berry method. So multiply 4 times negative 2, and you get negative 8. You need two numbers that will multiply to negative 8 but add to negative 7. Your numbers are negative 8 and 1. So whenever you factor it, you need to put your Berry in front of both terms. Okay, and then you need to factor out a Berry. So I'm going to take it out of the first factor there, and you get h minus, not 8. It will now be 2, and then 4h plus 1 divided by h minus 2. You eat your Berry, and then look at what's the same. The h minus 2 can cancel, and you're left with 4h plus 1. All right, what if factoring is not possible? You have two options. You can either do long division or synthetic division. So I'm going to show you long division first, and I'm going to do my work kind of off to the side here. So first thing you're going to do is you are going to divide your first term by this guy. So we have x squared divided by x, which is just going to be x. That will go up top, okay? And I always like to line them up with the like terms. So x, x here, okay? Then what you're going to do is you are going to multiply this x by this entire binomial here. So whenever we do that, we are going to get x squared plus 8x, and then you will subtract. Okay, so everything will actually change sign. These should cancel. Okay, then you will have 3x minus 8x, which will give you negative 5x. And then you bring down your next term, so negative 43. And you do the same process again. You divide this by your first term here, so we will have negative 5x divided by x, which will give negative 5. And that's what I write up top. Okay, and then I multiply this number here by this binomial. Okay, so I would get negative 5x minus 40. And then we subtract, so everything will actually change sign. These will cancel. We are actually going to add 40, so we get negative 3. Okay, now this -3 here is your remainder. Now in elementary school, you'd usually put an R and then that number. In this case, the way that we write the remainder is we will have -3 over whatever you're dividing by. So in this case, x plus 8. And this is your answer. Now let me show you the synthetic way. This way is a little bit easier, a little quicker, but you kind of got to keep track of some things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set x plus 8 equal to 0 and then solve for x. So x is going to equal -8. I'm going to put -8 inside of a box here. Then I'm going to take the coefficient of each term there. So we have 1, 3, and -43. Okay, so I don't need the x's, I just want the constants, the coefficients. So the first number you will drop down, and then to get to that number, you're going to multiply by whatever is inside your box there, so -8. So I will have a -8 here, and then you add these two numbers together. 3 plus -8 is -5, and then again you multiply by -8, which will give you +40. You add them together, you will get -3. This last term here is always your remainder. The next one will be the constant, and then this will be your x term. If you had more, you would go x squared, x to the third, and so on and so forth. So my answer here is 1x minus 5 minus 3 over x plus 8, which is the same answer that we got using long division. So let's do another example. We have 2n squared minus 16n plus 19 divided by n minus 7. So I will set it, I'll do both ways, long division and synthetic. Okay, and so I'm going to do my work off to the side. So first things first, 2n squared divided by n, which will give me 2n. That's what I write up top. Now I multiply this by everything over here. So I will get 2n squared minus 14n. And then you just change the signs of your binomial there. It's the same as subtracting. You will cancel that. Negative 16n plus 14n is -2n. Then you bring down the 19. Do the same thing. You'll do -2n divided by n, which will give -2. Okay, so then multiply by your binomial, so I will have -2n plus 14. Change your signs. So those will cancel. 19 minus 14 is 5. Now remember, this is your remainder. So you'll have plus 5 over n minus 7. Let's see if we get the same answer using synthetic division. So set n minus 7 equal to 0, and then solve for n, so n equals 7. That's what's going to go inside your box. Then you take the coefficients of each term. So we have 2, -16, and 19. You'll drop down the 2, multiply that by the 7. So we'll have 14, add, so we have -2, multiply times 7, -14, that will give us 5. Your last term is always your remainder. This is your constant, this is your x term. So we would have 2x minus 2 plus 5 over, and it's not x, it will be n, over n minus 7, which is the same thing that we got using long division. All right, last but not least, what if you are missing powers? You have to use a 0 as a placeholder. So we have k cubed minus 17k plus 32. We are missing the k squared. Okay, and all of this is divided by k plus 5. So I'm going to show you both ways to do it, both long and synthetic. So I'm going to set up my long division. And notice how for the k squared I've used a placeholder. And so we just treat it like normal long division. So I'm going to first do k cubed divided by k, which will give me k squared. I multiply, I get k cubed plus 5k squared, and then subtract. So I'm going to change the signs of both of those, and you get negative 5k squared. Drop down your negative 17k, do the process all over again. Negative 5k squared divided by k will give you negative 5k. And then multiply, so I will get negative 5k squared minus 25k. Change your signs. Those will cancel. Negative 17 plus 25 is going to be a positive 8k. And then we drop down our 32. Again, 8k divided by k is just going to give you 8. So I will get 8k plus 40. I need to change the signs or subtract. Those will cancel. 32 minus 40 is negative 8. This is your remainder. So I will have minus 8 over k plus 5. Let's see if we get the same answer using synthetic. And remember, we need a placeholder. So k plus 5 equals 0. I'm going to plug in a negative 5 here. I would have 1, 0, that's your missing plate or your missing value, negative 17, and then 32. I drop down the 1, multiply by negative 5, and then add. Multiply by negative 5, and then add. Multiply by negative 5, and then add. And that would be a negative 8. Okay, so remember the last term is your remainder. This is your constant. This is your x. This is your x squared. In this case, we have k's. So it'd be k squared minus 5k plus 8 minus 8 divided by k plus 5, which is the exact same thing that we got using long division. Okay, so just remember, if you're missing a power, you need to use 0 as a placeholder.